Okay, let's call Senator Bill Nelson. 1-202-224-5274.
Hi, this is Bill Nelson, and thank you for calling our Washington office. And thank you also for being interested in our government. All of our lines are busy right now, but a member of our staff will be with you in a moment. You can also visit our website at billnelson.senate.gov. Thank you for calling.
Okay, let's call Congressman. Hello, my name is Rudy Davis, and I'm calling about a man named Pastor Kent Hovind. Are you familiar with Kent Hovind?
I am, yes.
You are! Praise God! All right. Can I share a little story with you, and I can tell you something, and then maybe you can tell me if Bill Nelson can help us out?
Okay, what's the story?
Okay, I talk to Pastor Kent Hovind several times a day. He's been calling me for the past several months. My name is Rudy Davis. I live in Texas. And Pastor Kent Hovind, they brought charges upon him recently in Pensacola, Florida. They just dropped all the charges. That was Judge Margaret Casey Rogers. The prosecutor was Tiffany Hope Eggers. IRS agent Scott Snyder was involved. And that happened about a few days ago, a week ago or so. And Pastor Kent Hovind, now that all the charges are dropped, he was approved for home confinement. You may know all this already, but he spent 8.5 years in prison, and he should have gone home to home confinement with his wife of 42 years. He has children and grandchildren. He's been a model prisoner, no trouble on his record, and he should have been home in February of 2015, except it were for these new charges. Well, these new charges were dropped earlier this week, like very earlier this week. But I've been trying to work with the Bureau of Prisons, the U.S. Marshal's Office, the probation officer, the warden, all this Federal Corrections Institute. It's like a red tape bureaucratic mess, and we're stuck. And Ken Hovind just called me, and he's like crying out for help. And we're trying to do something. And his Congress, his senators, is Bill Nelson. Bill Nelson is one of his senators. Ken Hovind is a constituent in Florida, lived there for 25, 30, 40 years. I don't know the exact time. I know it's been over 25 years. 29 Cummings Road, 32503, I think is the area code. Here's what I'm trying to say. Everybody's about to go on their 3-day weekend. We've had thousands of supporters trying to call the BOP, U.S. Marshal's Office. We're getting nowhere. The BOP director, the head guy who's like got 30,000 employees reporting to him, he's a Harvard-educated man. His name is Charles E. Samuels Jr. He don't want to have anything to do with us. He just says... He seems to think that Ken Hovind is asking for special treatment, but Ken Hovind is not asking for special treatment. He was already approved for home confinement in February of 2015, which was several months ago.
So if Mr. Hovind would like the office to intervene on his behalf and see if there's anything we can do, he would need to fill out a release of information form and send that to our Orlando office.
Okay. I've got that form, and it is in the mail. I would just say this, okay? You guys are going to be waiting for the release of information form, and we are working on getting that to you. I sent him that in the mail, but it's a Friday, which means the prison doesn't receive mail on Saturdays, which means he probably won't get it till Tuesday. And so while we're waiting for the paperwork to get shuffled around, Kent Hovind's going to spend, while we're out having a barbecue and family get-togethers, he's going to spend another 3 days in Santa Rosa County Jail instead of home with his family, and it's just an atrocious thing. We will work on the paperwork. We're not going to stop doing that, but my prayer is that you please get the ear of Bill Nelson and let him know the situation if at all possible. And if he wants to be a hero, and if he wants thousands, tens of thousands of Christians all over the world to know the name of Bill Nelson in a positive light, he could try to do something to get him out before Memorial Day weekend. If he was to do that...
Unfortunately, legally, we can't do anything without that form.
Okay. Well, legally, he shouldn't even be in prison at all right now. And, we can talk paperwork. I understand what you're doing. But we are working on getting you that paperwork. It's a real shame. If my heart's breaking, and there's thousands of hearts breaking all over this world, that he's going to spend Memorial Day weekend 3 more days in prison. And we're talking about a consent form, and I there's somebody that should have released him back in February. But we'll get you the paperwork. You want a consent form, you'll get a consent form. But I'm telling you, every day he spends in prison, it's a terrible travesty of justice. That 8.5 years, and he spent a year in Santa Rosa County Jail, which is even worse than federal prison. It's even worse in a county jail. And they've already had a gang of people. I don't know if you know this, but 4 days ago there was a 6-member gang that tried to attack Pastor Hovind, and that was all recorded and reported on as well. So every day he stays in there, he's in danger, right? And all I can do is tell the story, brother. All I can do is try to get the attention of somebody in power that can do the right thing. But if you tell me we need a form, well, we're going to work on the form. But the opportunity to be a hero and the opportunity to do the right thing is being missed here. But we'll continue to work on the form. Let me say this in closing. Do you mind if I get your name just so I can say who I spoke to with Bill Nelson's office?
Sure. My name is Naveed.
Naveed. Okay. All right, Naveed, I would just say that the United States Marshal's Office keeps referring to policy and paperwork. Bureau of Prisons, Charles E. Samuels Jr. keeps referring to policy and paperwork. The Probation Office keeps referring to policy and paperwork. And if Bill Nelson, if he wants to, say, hey, we got to have a consent form and policy and paperwork. Okay, all right. We'll keep doing it. But somebody somewhere has got to have the authority to do the right thing. And if being a congressman or a senator isn't authority enough, I don't know what is. But I appreciate you listening to my story, brother, and I'm going to be talking to Kent Hovind in a couple hours. He calls my house every couple hours, and thank you for listening, and I pray that you get the ear of Bill Nelson, and if I just pray that somebody can do the right thing somewhere.
All right, well, thank you for your call.
Okay, thank you, Naveed.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that was Bill Nelson, 202-224-5274. We got 54 minutes left before 5 o'clock. And, it's everything I can do. It's everything I can do not to lose my temper.